with that said, my 3 words, a little more, basically are, think about it. Stars do not selfishly identify. And just look at the kind of space they've made for us in the cosmos. If that's what they've done, we can do no less. So with that, let's talk about moonshots. Yes, we absolutely should aspire to our moonshots, if for no other reason than because we can embrace the wind even before we leave the planet again. By taking those amazing innovations, like those that have been shown to launch the human body's astonishing capacity to heal itself, turning weeks of therapy after a sprain or strain into just days, and days of swelling, discomfort, stiffness into mere minutes. So how does one find themselves training to float at Mach 25 while decoding the body's reconditioning? Well, for me, it started at hot summer night, 3 hours into the game of hide and go seek. I was going for the Guinness Book of World Records because everyone was looking right and left, and no one was thinking to look north or south. Well, south, my brother, because I'm on the moon dancing with the stars. When suddenly, out of the darkness, I heard a voice calling my name, Yvonne, Yvonne. And I knew destiny had finally found me. And I was ready to take my giant leap when, well, think about it. It's probably not a smart thing to do at the age of 10 at the top of an old oak tree. Probably not a smart thing to do at any age at the top of an old oak tree. And after a while, I began to recognize that that voice was my dad calling me to come inside. So sullenly, as I walked into our living room, my father was silently pointing to our old rabbit-eared TV. And this is what I saw. Human, walking on the moon for the very first time ever. Yes, that hot summer night was July 20th, 1969. And I now wonder if in part, maybe, just maybe, that voice that I heard was Dr. Katherine Johnson counting down with her team to the landing of that first human on the moon. And at that moment, on that hot summer July night, my dreams took wings, and I too wanted to one day see my footprint on the moon. Fast forward, undergraduate degree in biochemistry at San Francisco State University, on to the University of Washington in Seattle to earn my medical degree on an Air Force scholarship, spending the next 22 years flying in a wide variety of high-performance jets, rising to the rank of colonel, and yet, after 15 years, I began to realize that those jets didn't seem to go quite fast enough, nor quite high enough. I knew then that the only way to go was up, and at that time, the only way to get there was 17,500 miles per hour, coming off of 7.5 million pounds of thrust, where the vibration under your seat is so great that you never actually see your first launch. You feel it. You're launched. It's been less than 10 minutes, and you're approximately 250 miles above the Earth, going 17.5 on your way to Mach 25, and as you unbuckle your seatbelt, guess what? Ta-da! You're floating. Who needs solid rocket boosters? Who needs main engines? You're in space. You're floating. So folks, 2035, we are going to Mars. Mark your calendars, set your watch, yes, we're going to Mars, but we are no longer going direct to Mars. we're going to Mars by way of going, yes, back to the moon. How exciting is that on this, our 50th anniversary, half a century ago? So in 2024, we will see the first of two 30-day cislunar missions that will allow us to validate those systems that will help not only get us to Mars, but to have a sustainable presence. Everything from the vehicle all the way to the human system. And communications, habitats, rovers, everything, including robotics in between. So, why not just send robots? Well, even if we could design and build a robot that was computationally flawless enough to regenerate an orphaned spacecraft, a dormant planet, a dying star, even if we could design and build a robot that was insatiably curious enough to engage its inner space to the same degree of devotion that it envisions outer galaxies, could a robot aspire to dance? And if a robot could aspire, would a robot climb the highest of mountains, scale the greatest of summits, swim the widest of oceans, travel into the deepest of space, not just for innovation, but for inspiration? And if a robot could be inspired, would a robot sacrifice everything, even life itself, not just for the sake of coding, but because it cared? Why? Because it is the human heart's expression to engage the art of the cosmos like we should engage our love for one another. Space may be the gateway to human and planetary resiliency by demonstrating how to not just boldly go, not just even boldly stay, but to boldly thrive as a planet, as a species, as humanity. I may not ever find out for sure, but one thing I do know for sure is that the only way to know is to go. Because it is only when we dare to explore the edge of the other side of the envelope that we truly and authentically engage the impossible. Because what is the impossible? Break the word down. You get I am possible when we make space for all. Ad Astra, and thank you.